At the turbulent edge of a continent, life can be challenging and dangerous. But a mere stone throw beyond coastal cliffs and headlands, it prospers in a different world. Home for a great variety of wildlife, with environments to match. Where dragons roam the undergrowth and pythons lurk on trees. Nearly 40 different kinds of mammals live here. But kangaroos are the most frequently encountered. Birds far outnumber them with over 200 species, including migrants and visitors. Many shapes, shades and colors can be discovered here. And they include the busy, the playful, the artists, but also the impossible, and the parents watching over their young. But what do they eat, and where do they find their food? What are the challenges of parenthood? Are there any dangers? Does climate change affect them? There must be secrets. And where does it all happen? Kilometers southwest of Sydney, Australia's largest city, lies the Murramarang National Park. It is a place of life and tranquility, where the forest meets the sea along most of its 44-kilometer coastline. This film tells its story. Eastern grey kangaroos are very approachable here and attract much attention. Contact with these gentle creatures is special and cherished by many visitors. To everyone's delight, mobs of kangaroos also drop by at most campsites. Watching visitors going about their business seems a favorite pastime for some. And curiosity can become contagious. Australian pelicans fly in and go down on a beach near a lagoon and tidal lake. On their lookout for suitable feeding grounds, they sometimes travel over long distances. Inquisitive and gregarious, pelicans are sporting the longest beak in the bird kingdom. At the turn of the tide, fish are siphoned from the lagoon into the open sea. The right time to line up for a meal. Nomadic black swans arrive. They are almost entirely vegetarian and feed on algae and submerged plants. With the arrival of spring, the biological clock goes into overdrive. Flowers and trees are in bloom to feed the needs of an arising army of invertebrates. And the air is filled with birdsong. The lemon bottle brush near a caravan park or native shrubs. It's all good for a scarlet honeyeater. Spring is the time to breed for most birds, and finding a partner by communicating is the first step in raising a new family. She must be nearby. Kookaburras claim their territory. Two of the most splendid vocalists, the golden whistler and its rufous relative. Cockatoos and most parrots are monogamous and choose a partner for life. To maintain their bond, mutual preening, called allopreening, is the way to go for many birds. The message of this male rainbow lorikeet is obvious. Look at me, I'm still better than all the others. A playful grapple, it's all part of the courtship. She finally succumbs to his enticement and they mate. Things are somewhat different with fairy wrens. When molting into his breeding plumage is complete, he announces his presence. It's all about his looks, and females are very demanding. Right now, she doesn't mind his company, but she is still looking. Both will mate with other partners, and the clan will help in raising their young. Happy to find each other, silver eyes display affection. Pacific black ducks indicate their readiness to mate in their own peculiar way. The whole forest knows when dollar birds arrive from New Guinea. Some propose in the dark. Once settled with a partner, nest building is underway. Usable material can be found anywhere, and the size of the nest will demand the type of its building blocks. Yellow-faced honeyeaters decorate the exterior of their nest with moss. No problem there, but raiding the nest building attempts of others is an easier option. Plant fiber is soft and ideally suited to line the nest. But first things first, the construction has to be solid before soft furnishings can be added. A red-browed finch builds a large nest with side entrance. It consists of green and dry grasses woven together. And seed pods of silk pod vines produce fabulous lining for the interior. Extravagant tastes choose the alternative. A new acquaintance during work. Nicely decorated in matching green, a monarch's nest is unrecognizable among the foliage of a tree. A male gerygony supervises while his partner is busily building. With one leaf after another added, this robin's nest nears completion. And what's better than adjusting the nest size to your own body measurements? To tie loose bits together, sticky cobwebs are useful materials. After a few final touches, the job is complete. While another female works on a nest, hubby is out and about to gather snacks. Spiders are a good choice. Their whereabouts are known and they're easy to catch. His hard-working partner isn't forgotten and she gets her reward. "15 days passed when 3 eggs can be seen in a nest. Incubating the eggs is entirely mother's job. Wouldn't it be nice if they had hatched already? But to make that happen, she is back to work. Two weeks later, the newcomers arrive. And it's only now that a very busy time for both parents begins. Teamwork will be the key to their parenting success. But for others out there, life is a lot easier. Near the seaward margin of the forest lives a ground-dwelling inhabitant of the park. It's a dragon lizard, just in the process of extending her family. The eggs have soft shells, and for added security, she pushes them under a tree root before closing the hole. The young lizards will be fully self-supporting from the moment they hatch. Tired she may be, but as a mother she did everything possible to secure the arrival of a new generation. Spotted pardalots. They set up camp on a sandy bank among eucalyptus understory. The female with yellow and the male with white spots on his head, they are some of the smallest Australian birds. Both are working tirelessly on the finishing touches to their underground dwelling. Among the many beaches of the park, Pebbly Beach is one of the most popular, with people and wildlife alike, where kangaroos enjoy basking in the balmy spring sun on the dunes. On their return trip to Antarctica, Humpback whales take time out in the park's offshore waters. The locals don't mind, there is plenty of room for all of them. And rather sooner than later, the giants move on and continue their epic journey. Migrating bird flocks in transit are frequent visitors of the national park. Cattle egrets settle down for a brief stopover before flying on to their breeding grounds further north of the country. After a record-breaking migration, bar-tailed godwits eagerly search for well-deserved snacks. They are joined by eastern curlews in transit from breeding grounds in freshwater marshes of eastern Siberia. Members of the cockatoo bird family, a breeding pair of galahs made their home in the hollow of a dead tree. Finding a nice residence is strenuous and tiring for a lorikeet couple. This large entrance would jeopardize the safety of the young. Not bad, but what else is there? A home with entrance from below? Good for security, but how would the chicks handle it? High up in a nearby gum tree, gang cockatoos are all over the moon. They found exactly what they were looking for. Detrimental to a kookaburra who is after a similar home. For the gangs, the search is over. They now have more time for each other. Crimson rosellas are still combing the forest for an aptly sized cavity in which to raise their offspring. Good location, but it does look a bit small. The lorikeets are the next visitors, and both decide for a thorough check of the interior. Two curled up tails give away the daytime retreat of nocturnal ringtail possums. They are versatile and sometimes build spherical nests in dense undergrowth. Also active at night, a tawny frogmouth with its young are well disguised among these branches. The parent utilizes the full camouflage effect, but Junior is still on a learning curve. Near the lake's shore, a grey fantail is in pursuit of prey. To be a parent is no easy feat, with a set table expected all day. And what goes in must come out. Luckily, the nearby lake provides for a lot of food. Being too generous can be out of place. Droppings have to be removed quickly. Any odor could attract predators. And they are ready for a bigger snack. Great egrets are successful in stalking fish, attributed to patience and stealth. A heron adds the ingredient of speed and snatches up a meal too. With no luck to spot edibles among oyster-clad rocks, a reef egret flies on. Out here near a headland, fish seek shelter among floating kelp, and it doesn't take long before one is caught. Speed, combined with high precision, is another winning formula. A royal spoonbill in the lagoon sweeps the bottom with its bill. Casuarina trees are hiding places for many tiny invertebrates. And that is exactly what a flock of Citellas are looking for. After personal hygiene is cared for, it's time to forage. In an ultra-quick and restless action, tree trunks with their branches are scanned for any signs of life. Their slightly upturned bill levers bark flakes and lichens. Most insects, including bees, wasps, but also the odd spider, have a place on their menu. But a scarlet robin does not mess around in this nitpicking way. It rather goes for the big stuff. Dense forest understory provides shelter for the red-bellied blacksnake. Two-thirds of the blacksnake's prey consists of frogs, one-third are reptiles, and a small mammal is caught now and then. Moist and swampy areas are her hunting ground. Crossing a creek is no problem for a good swimmer. She usually hunts on the ground, but conspicuous tree trunks are also checked for prey. The snake's body temperature ranges between 28 to 31 degrees during the day. And to maintain it, she spends time in the sun every hour or so. Resting places have to be selected carefully. Sharp eyes are cruising the sky, and they mean danger. Rufous fantails are birds of the rainforest and wet gullies. Most commonly, 2 eggs are laid, and after a 16-day incubation, the young arrive. Delivered in a little membrane, the hatchling's undigested droppings are recycled and eaten by the parents during the first days. The birds are partial migrants who breed in Southeast Australia in spring, only to fly north again during March and April. In about 2 weeks after hatching, the young will be fully fledged and ready to leave the nest. Tending the chicks is unobtrusive and discreet to keep predators away. Vulnerable and defenseless they are, but in a nest well hidden in lush rainforest understory. On the forest's margin in dense scrub, the bower of a satin bowerbird. This nicely decorated courtship arena was built by the blue-black male to attract females. But is it good enough? Will she come down for an inspection? Perhaps it's not a bad idea to give it another spruce up. And if the wind wasn't dislodging items of the artwork, it must have been that large goanna crawling around. Better stability of the construction should impress her too. Grassy areas in neighboring townships are popular with kangaroos. And sulfur-crested cockatoos thrive on available fringe benefits. Others try their luck in surrounding gardens. But petty theft can be fraught with pitfalls. Endangered glossy black cockatoos almost exclusively munch on she oak seed cones. The majority of parrots and cockatoos tend to be left-footed when holding food. Most juveniles trial with both before settling on the left. Gang cockatoos feed on acacia, eucalyptus seeds and insect larvae. But they also include fruits of introduced species in their diet. An Australian king parrot manages to move the seed pod along with its tongue. But he still has to separate the individual seeds from their shell. This yellow-tailed black cockatoo is snacking on coast banksia flowers. But more often, he can be seen plucking seed cones of saw banksia to bits. The little one receives a mush of his regurgitated meal. Seeds dispersed by many birds and bats help to spread the vegetation. A brief moment of rest for a black-faced monarch. Its partner communicates. They share a secret, 2 chicks in their well-disguised nest. And both are impatiently waiting for the next meal. Food that isn't swallowed gets taken away. No ifs or buts. Then the waste is removed. Inconspicuously done, but the commotion hasn't gone unnoticed. Diamond pythons are good climbers and collect scent by flicking their tongue. The monarch's partner has become aware of the danger. Its calls resound throughout the forest. There is nothing this bird parent can do to deter the snake, but to stay motionless in a nest with its chicks under wraps. The relatively poor eyesight of the python is assisted by heat receptors on the lower jaw, enabling her to perceive body temperatures within half a meter. But the monarch's plumage affects the python's perception. The snake continues her stroll, and it was the monarch's behavior that saved its family. Danger can also lurk high above, ready to strike in a flash. While feeding, this honey eater keeps a close watch on possible dangers. Same idea, different style. Preening and resting are safer and more relaxing within dense foliage cover. Dashing across open forest can be risky. They all have to keep an eye out for sudden dangers. But those sporting perfect camouflage can afford to just freeze and wait for danger to pass before collecting their lunch. A sea eagle pair fly out on a hunting safari. With the best eyesight among all animals, eagles spot prey far ahead. Piercing talons lift the fish off on a third run and take it to the top of an island. But one is not enough. And its partner strikes it lucky as well. Outperforming each other in aerial acrobatics is the young eagle's thrill of the moment. And spectators can't get enough of it. But when play is over, the young eagles show off with a great catch. From one of the large gum trees in the forest, some crackling noise can be heard. With a beak of heavy build, a crested shrike-tit rips into dry, rolled-up strips of bark. These are hiding places for various kinds of small prey, and every now and then luck is on its side. Insects and spiders he's after, but occasionally fruit and seeds are also eaten. Preying on hard-bodied weevils is limited to those who are able to handle them. And he can. One foot holds it down, and with his strong bill it is dissected. Back at the yellow robin's nest, the hatchlings have grown, and so has their demand in food. Appetizers won't cut it anymore. The main course has to follow quickly. The parents' rest can only be short-lived, and the duties never end. In a picturesque bay of the national park, an oyster-catcher pair take a stroll along a tidal rock flat. They behave in a somewhat strange manner and flap their wings on the ground to attract attention. "Go for me, I'm injured," is the message for intruders. But the reason for their behavior is hidden among rocks of the upper shore. Only when undisturbed will the birds continue to incubate. The egg's in good hands. Its partner spends time to snack on limpets. With a tool made for the occasion, the oyster-catcher masterly separates the flesh from the shells. Limpets have to be levered and removed quickly before they increase suction. But an expert in its field, this bird knows when it's time to quit. The rainbow lorikeets are well settled in their chosen location. To live in a small nest hollow with 2 chicks is a big ask, and flight feathers need some attention before takeoff. Instantly ready to slip back into safety, the nestlings enjoy a peep into the new world. A brush-tipped tongue and strong beak easily handle any food within their range. Coast banksias are rich in nectar and a seasonally important source of food for nectar-eating animals. Lorikeets are well-known bullies who frequently muscle in on other birds. Afraid to feed, an intimidated wattlebird stays in hiding. As soon as the lorikeets leave, others arrive for their share of the spoils. With its ultra-long bill and tongue lapping up nectar from the core of the flower head is just a breeze for this eastern spinebill. Wattlebirds are some of the most frequent diners in the Banksia Grove. A noisy miner and a much less frequently seen tawny ground honeyeater. In the canopy of eucalyptus trees, musk lorikeets satisfy their need for nectar. During times of rest, a pair freshen up their bond and spend time readjusting their plumage. When foraging, dense understory is a good place to start for this lace monitor. With its acute sense of smell, any smaller animal, but also birds' eggs and their nestlings, are on its radar. Commonly known as goannas, they can reach a body length of up to 2 meters and 20 kilos in weight. Seduced by the scent of food, frequent patrols around holiday cabins are always on its itinerary. Large, razor-sharp claws allow the monitor to climb up smooth-bark trees in search for birds' nests. At the edge of dense understory, this scrub wren appears to find pleasure basking in a sun-drenched forest clearing. And so do others. To maintain a healthy plumage is the most important reason for doing just that. Sun exposure dislodges feather parasites triggered by the excess heat. At the next preening, anything unwanted can be easily removed. But above all, perhaps birds too enjoy a good break in the sun once in a while. Back to the serious side of life for this wattlebird. And it possibly got back just in time. Scrub wrens are very quick in everything they do. Prey is found and snapped up in split seconds. And he also has to provide for the chicks. A fabulous lump of protein for one youngster. Their nest is on the forest floor, and everything seems to be alright outside. Not so. A family member is in full alert mode. An intruder has been spotted, and it poses a great danger to the nest and its young. Even a small blue-tongued skink could cause havoc in a tiny bird's nest. But alarm calls don't go unnoticed. The 60 centimeters long channel-billed cuckoo is the world's largest of its kind. He is rarely seen in the national park and equally rarely liked by other birds. A large male pursues a female kangaroo, but she is unimpressed. Pawing at her head, together with clutching at the tip of her tail, is typical courtship behavior. But as its sole carer, most of the female's efforts are dedicated to her offspring. Their bond is strong, and her attention and care for the young is second to none. joeys are reliant on their mother for about 18 months until weaned. At 9 months old, the young left the pouch for the first time, but it is suckled by mother for nearly another year. Little joeys are vulnerable, but travel in mother's pouch is safe. A gentle tap signals departure, and off they are into the forest. Reproduction is in full swing for New Holland honeyeaters. In a good year, the birds may have another brood after their first one reaches independence. But for now, a parent takes protective care of the nestlings to minimize the danger of predation. A bird's plumage has to be kept in top condition at all times, and a regular bath will help to do just that. And what's an everyday procedure for most seems strange to some. What a feeling! After rain, a bath can be had just about anywhere. A good look around is all it takes. While splashing around, their guard is down, but often their numbers make up for that. To get rid of unwanted parasites, brown quail take a dust bath in dry conditions. And for clean water fanatics, there is always a sprinkler in action in one of the village's gardens. But a private spa bath high up in a tree ranks as the undisputed pinnacle of luxury in a natural bird bath. And the thornbills revel in it. Others arrive and thoroughly inspect this fabulous piece of real estate. Drying their plumage takes a bit longer for some. The little scrub wren, on the other hand, can hardly be outperformed when it comes to speed preening. Flight feathers require detailed and meticulous maintenance. Short or long beak, it all seems to work fine for the bearers. It is in late spring when a white-naped honeyeater watches the movements of its fledgling. The little one has left the nest with some distance to go before independence. But its sibling could not join it. The parent gleans foliage and checks every nook and cranny to provide for the remaining juvenile. The prey is usually tiny, and only continuous foraging will meet the demands of its chick. Bark and shriveled leaves are hiding places for small insects. The find of a rolled up dry leaf hanging in a web is communicated with excitement. It's the home of a leaf-curling spider, and it promises a valuable snack. But the begging for more will not wane. And after a quick drink, the search continues. An Australian wood duck proudly presents her flock. The ducklings left their treehole nest a few weeks after hatching. Once on the ground, they remain with their parents for another month. A female swallowtail butterfly. When located by a male, a courtship begins, and often she is the active partner. Pheromones, released by the male butterfly, influence the behavior of the female. Mating may take 45 to 60 minutes, and they live up to 3 months. The short-beaked echidna resides in all of Australia and in almost any environment. It forages on the ground for ants and other colonial insects. And to do that, there is no better place than the rainforest pockets of the Murramarang National Park. Decaying logs and moist leaf litter promise a more than ample harvest of ants and termites. But nasties, like paralysis ticks, are permanent hitchhikers. A solitary animal, toothless and highly specialized, with a long sticky tongue and an excellent sense of smell, it probes into ground litter. And it shares its environment with the rainforest's mythical inhabitant, known to be one of the most lavish songsters in the avian world. Among passerines or songbirds, lyrebirds are some of the largest. Males seem to impress females, and sometimes perhaps just for sheer joy. The tiny Gerygony's young family is well underway. Suspended nests offer more security than cup-shaped nests, and the birds feel safe. One of their relatives, and at 7 grams in weight, just a touch heavier, hops up on a gum tree in search for food. It's a brown thornbill, another one of Australia's smallest birds. In this private garden, it receives a warm welcome for removing aphids and other pests. Thornbills are highly active and rarely spend several seconds in one location. More often, rather heard than seen, eastern whipbirds live in the scrub and undergrowth of wet forests. Foraging in decaying trees or leaf litter for arthropods of various kinds is done rigorously. Black swans strike an elegant pose on water. Every now and then, cygnets are raised in the park. But only half, in a clutch of 6 or 8, usually reach adulthood. At their tender age, it's easy to lose the footing now and then. But a watchful eye is always present. Aquatic vegetation, with a few insects and worms, covers the food requirements of the Eurasian coot. It appears there are no takers. The offer was perhaps a little too big. And that's better. Sadly, many of the young succumb to starvation rather than predation. By midsummer, most fledglings will have left the nest. But will they all still need continuing support of their parents? Are adults able to match their demands? What dangers do young birds face, and how many will reach adulthood? Will the changing climate show its effect? These answers and much more we will find in the final episode of Wild Murramarang.